The Philadelphia 76ers delivered perhaps their most impressive performance of the season in a blowout victory over the Los Angeles Lakers, handing LeBron James the most lopsided loss of his entire 21-year career. In this video, I want to break down some positive takeaways that speak specifically to the mindset shift that we're seeing in Tyrese Maxey, as well as Paul Reed doubling down on his quote following the game. So let's get right into it. I'm going to begin by taking a peek at the box score here. As I mentioned, the Sixers getting a 138-94 victory over the Lakers. That moves them to 12-5 on the year. Take a look at the notable stat lines here. Joel Embiid notches his first triple-double of the season with 30 points, 11 assists, 11 rebounds. Tyrese Maxey with 31 points, 8 assists. Crazy how that has turned to a normal day at the office for him. A couple other notable performances that I'll just highlight real quick. Marcus Morris Sr. with 16 points, shooting 4 of 5 from 3. Patrick Beverley also adding 12 points and hitting 4 3-pointers of his own. So a lot of good there from the Sixers overall. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about in this video is Tyrese Maxey and his mindset shift. So after the game, Nick Nurse was asked a little bit about Maxey, and he said, Tyrese Maxey, who had 20 points in the first half tonight, came in and told him he wanted/needed to be more aggressive to open tonight's game. Nurse said, quote, "Shit, I only tell you that every day." So it's cool to see a little bit of fun playfulness in Nick Nurse there. I did watch the whole video, and he kind of spoke specifically to what he saw from Tyrese, that there were moments where he kind of was in attacking contact or embracing contact in a way that he has not seen from, rather than kind of bouncing off a hit, he's being the guy to deliver it when going to the basket. Thought that was an interesting perspective on it. Now, the Maxey thing as a whole, there's been a couple games this year, several games this year, where he's had 0 points in the first quarter. A lot of this is him adjusting and finding that balance as a playmaker and a scorer. That the Tyrese Maxey that we've seen in the NBA has been very much a score-first guy to this point. That this is the first year he's asked to be the primary playmaker for the Sixers. And by the way, both Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey ranking the top 11 in assists per game across the entire NBA right now. But one of the things that I think is coming with this conscious effort to be a better playmaker is he struggles at times to find that balance. And this is a pretty normal point guard thing that traditionally, like, a floor general is known to get everyone involved, get other shots for people before creating your own offense. That's kind of the flow of things that we see with guys like Chris Paul. A lot of the traditional point guards, that's kind of just the pecking order that you establish, that your primary job is to create for others, and then when the opportunity is right, you create for yourself. So I think that has been what is going on with Maxey, that when he is a little passive early on, that is more so him making a conscious effort to create for others, get Joel Embiid his touches. Joel Embiid, by the way, leading the NBA in first quarter points at this time. So that I think that is evidence of well. But the Sixers do need Tyrese Maxey to stay aggressive, and he is a key part and the motor of this offense to make sure things happen. So it is cool to see Nick Nurse continuing to put more pressure on him, continue to just increase the chances and make it clear that he wants him to be more aggressive, and the Sixers did see that as a result. One thing that I wanted to point out here is a couple of the runs that the Sixers pulled off last night. A 20-2 run in the first quarter, which really burst things open. They also had a 20-8 run in the second quarter, and a 19-6 run in the fourth quarter. Both Maxey and Batum were on the floor for all 3 of those runs. So I do think that's notable there. And Nicholas Batum is very much becoming an unsung hero on this team. That he's a perfect connective piece between Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. We're also seeing a lot of half-court plays at this point that Nick Batum is being run as the primary decision-maker, where they're running some horn set, getting him in at the elbow, and Batum's the guy responsible for making that entry pass to Embiid. That's cool that he's being trusted that quickly. The thing that stands out to me the most about Nicholas Batum's game is just how rapidly he sees the game. That every decision he makes is so quick. He knows what he's doing with the ball that the second that he gets it. And that's been an issue with these Sixers, is guys that, like to over dribble or don't have a game plan when they get it. It's very refreshing to see that with Nick Nurse, or with Nicholas Batum and under Nick Nurse, and I think this is all tying together with helping everyone. Now, the next guy that I did want to jump onto is Paul Reed here. Now, we know the storyline with Paul Reed. We all saw the quote coming into the game in which he said before or right after shoot-around saying, quote, about Anthony Davis, "He's a big flopper, so make sure I don't get in foul trouble early by any. I can't be too aggressive with him. He's going to be flailing, so I got to make sure I stay out of foul trouble." So Paul Reed said that in the matchup, and now to Paul Reed's credit, he kind of proved to be right in this specific quote, that he drew 2 quick fouls on Joel Embiid in last night's game. Embiid picked up 2 fouls within the first 4 minutes of the game, both pretty questionable calls and both plays where he was clearly grifting for the foul. Now, Joel Embiid is no player that can throw stones about this not being okay. That is one of the things that he does more frequently than anyone else in the NBA. He's up there for sure among the top 5 as far as guys that want to get to the free throw line. So I'm not fully critiquing this from Anthony Davis, but I will say they were a little questionable there. And the biggest point in all of this that I want to reinforce from the Nick Nurse standpoint is he did not take Joel Embiid out of the game after he picked up those 2 fouls in 4 minutes. That he trusted Embiid to be smart. He changed the scheme of the defense where he wasn't locked and loaded on Anthony Davis, that he became a roamer, and he ultimately survived the foul issues and did not foul out of the game, kept that on track, and the Sixers got the victory. But to Paul Reed's quote specifically, so that caused quite a stir. Nick Nurse was asked about it pregame, saying that I'm going to have to speak with Paul about that pretty much immediately after this. Darvin Ham was also asked and ended his comment about it saying, well, he's the one that's going to have to guard him, so good luck, Paul. But then the Sixers ultimately took care of business, and then Paul Reed was asked about the quote after the game and said, I was just keeping it 50 times too. So love that from Paul Reed, keeping it 100 there. That is why Paul Reed is so lovable, is that I don't think this was any sort of that he put this out here as bulletin board material or that he wanted to actively say something bad about Anthony Davis. Paul Reed just kind of speaks off the cuff, and I think sometimes things leak out in a way and come out in a way that he doesn't necessarily intend. I think that's what happened in this case. I'm happy that he said it. I'm happy that they took care of business, and that's legendary stuff to kind of call the shot, take care of business, and ultimately get the victory there. So as long as that continues to happen, I am happy with that. And by the way, Paul Reed across the NBA this year, ranking 4th in most points generated via screen assists. That is one of the ways that we are going to feel his impact there, trailing just Anthony Davis, Kevon Looney, and Isaiah Hartenstein there. That is a really positive sign for Paul Reed. That's something that he's grown a ton, especially these past 2 years as a guy. That's a way that big men can create shots for others without even touching the ball or getting involved. That him able to get the primary defender off the ball handlers, in a lot of cases it's Tyrese Maxey in these opportunities, and that pays dividends for this Sixers team. So shout out to Paul Reed, and to touch on what he did last night, a pretty solid performance off the bench as well. In 17 minutes, he added 9 points, just 3 rebounds, but he did have 2 steals, only 1 foul, and 4 for 5 from the field. He also hit a 3-pointer. 3-ball Paul was in full effect there. So that was exciting to see. I love that he talked it. I love that he backed it up. And it's cool that this is one of the most just fun Sixers victories of the year. Both fun and I think noteworthy. That I'll start by saying I don't fully buy the stock of this Lakers team the way that I think some people do. I don't think they're a legitimate championship contender. I think it's quite telling that LeBron James still has to be one of the top 10 players on the planet on a night-to-night basis for them to be in the conversation of winning a game. While LeBron is still very good, it's very clear that he's past the point in his career where he should have to do that on a night-to-night basis. And we know that he's capable. We've seen him do this on a still a fairly regular basis. But it should be a point where he can take those nights off, where he doesn't have to drop 35 and 10, where he can kind of be a primary playmaker, be a point guard, run the offense. And the issue that this circles back to is Anthony Davis not being good enough to accept the baton being passed to him. Anthony Davis is a very good basketball player. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a guy that's going to end the season in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation this year. But he's not a guy that can be the number 1 star of a franchise. And we've seen that. This version of Anthony Davis is far from what he once was, and what he once was I don't think was good enough either. And that was crystal clear on a night like last night, where Joel Embiid is several levels better than him as a basketball player. That in every aspect of the game, Embiid shined. That he was blocking Anthony Davis at the rim, he was getting whatever he wanted on the offensive end, he was forcing Davis to foul at times, he out-rebounded him. There were several opportunities where Joel Embiid out-muscled Davis on rebounding attempts, which was cool to see, and we don't see from Joel all the time. But this all goes to show that Anthony Davis just might not be the guy that I think he is made out to be, and that's a significant issue for this Lakers team. But on the Sixers side of things, for starters, it's awesome that Joel Embiid continues to be the guy. He does wake up and accept these challenges with full arms, which I love about him, that he does tend to get up for big games like this and rise to the moment. And just to touch on that rebounding point a little more, as a whole, the Sixers had 15 more rebounds than the Lakers last night. And look at the Joel Embiid numbers here. 4 offensive rebounds. He already this season has eclipsed more games with 4+ offensive rebounds than he did all of last year. A lot of that is Nick Nurse forcing him into positions, making sure that he's doing it. And as far as the flow of the offense, that so much of the Doc Rivers having these mid-range jumpers for Joel, that puts him out of position to grab an offensive rebound. With Nick Nurse, where there's a more conscious effort to get him lower, get a seal at the bottom near the block or down by the basket, he's in position to get offensive rebounds, and those translate directly to points for the Sixers. So it is exciting that that's a new element across the board. The stats are up for offensive rebounding rate, offensive rebounding per game. All the contested rebound percentage is through the roof compared to last year. So it's been really cool to see Embiid embrace that area of his game in a way that he has not over the past couple of years. But I do just want to wrap this up by saying it is cool that Tyrese Maxey and Paul Reed are becoming two of the vocal, I guess, just leadership voices in the locker room. That these are two guys only in their 4th year in the NBA, that they each have kind of grown into these positions that have been fan favorites pretty much from the jump, and they continue to improve as basketball players directly in the way that we all hope. That so often when we get these fan favorite, these fun-loving stories, there tends to be a ceiling on things of, okay, this guy kind of tapped out for what he is or who he is as a basketball player. It doesn't feel that way with either of these guys. They're still progressing at a very rapid rate, and obviously on different trajectories for Maxey and Paul Reed. But I do think it's very cool that from both a fan perspective, the way that these guys are embraced, and then from a basketball perspective, they're delivering on the floor. That is the perfect mix for what you want out of the players you draft, out of the guys that you are building around. And it's cool that these guys are each really taking that personally, that they are taking on the voice of Philadelphia in a way that I think we consider lightly. So keep talking your talk, B-Ball Paul. Tyrese Maxey, keep being aggressive. Keep dropping those 20-point first halves. That it was a thrilling victory over the Lakers last night, the best of the season from the Sixers' perspective. That's what I think. I want to know what you guys think in the comments, so make sure to drop, let me know there. Also, don't forget to hit a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not. Sixers season in full swing. Want to keep the Sixers Digest family growing, and I will talk to you next time right here on the channel. Peace.